How much did what happened to Lane have to do with you inventing the riding vest?
Well, that's the story everyone tells, like that I did that after Lane got killed. Well, about 2-3 years after Lane got,
a little bit of time.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years after Lane got killed. That was 89. About 91, my mom called me, and my younger brother Casey's was a jockey at that time, and she's telling me about these flak jackets that lots of racetracks are requiring, lots of states are requiring them to wear. And she said, I wish you'd get one of those to ride bulls in. She'd say that over and over, and kind of pestered me about it. And I didn't really want to talk about it. And so I was reading on Sports Illustrated, I think it was one of the magazines, when I was on a plane going somewhere, and it was about this jockey, Julie Crone, that she was the top female jockey, one of the legends, and they said in a spiel that she was in that flak jacket saved her life, that this big 1,400-pound thoroughbred stepped right in her chest, and that the doctors thought that saved her life. And so it got me thinking a little more about it. My mom's still telling me about it, and I said, okay, well, let me know who they are and stuff. Well, I didn't get back to the company, so there was a company in Ontario called Tipperary that made the vest for the hunter jumpers and the jockeys and stuff like that. She must have looked at the tag in Casey's in his stuff, and so she contacted them. They called me, and so I said, well, I'd be interested, and we'd start doing something if the design was okay. But if it caused me to get bucked off one time, I'm never going to wear it. If I can tell I got it on, I'm never going to wear it. So then they sent me had me measure myself, and they sent me some prototypes, and it was all the stuff that they used on the jockeys and the hunter jumpers, and had to get undressed to put it on, and you had to do all of this, and so I changed the design, and I said, I've got to get it where I can put it on right before I ride and take it off right after. I want it to look Western. I want this. I want the Velcro over the shoulders. That way, if I'm knocked out, they can take it off of me laying right there, or if a bull gets a horn under it. And then we went on. They had all the technology that would protect you and stuff. And we went on, and I got where I couldn't tell I had it on, so I went ahead and rode with it. And I rode with it, and I could get along fine, and it looked fine. And it's that vest right there is the first one in that picture right there.
Dang.
Is the first. That's that year. And so about the 7th round, I had this bull called Bojangles of David Bailey's, and he's just kind of spun pretty nice, and he's going away from my hand, and right when I went to get off, he just turned back and he caught me, and then he kind of worked me over a little bit, and it felt like somebody slapped me in the chest. That was the first time that I really tested it out. And I got to the locker room, and Ted Noose and Cody Custer was standing. I already had Taiwan ordered, and those guys are saying, "Can you get me one of those?"
Dang.
And that's kind of where it started out. But
And wasn't it the next NFR that
14 had it the next year, and then after that, everybody's had them. But
had there been a lot of other deaths outside of Lane's?
No,
that we don't really know about, or
there had been some, but some of them were, they were head injuries, and some over the years, if you go way back to Pete Knight in the bronc riding at Hayward, California in the 1930s, got stepped on in 30s or 40s, got stepped on and killed him. And there's been that kind of stuff, but whether it was Lane getting killed or just the horse racing had gotten where that became a rule, and my mom telling me about it like that, that was always in the back of my mind, was about Lane and what would have happened if he'd had one of these on him, that kind of thing. But it wasn't like I set out to make the vest after he got killed.
Yes, sir.
I got to thinking, like, my mom was really more responsible than I was.
Yes, sir.
And
so maybe it influenced her a little bit.
So, yeah, it could have. And I got thinking, well, if I don't have to try to ride with broken ribs, because this is how I feed my family. If I don't have to ride as sore, I might do a better job. I might just do a little bit better if I'm not sore in the rib cage or something like that. I was thinking that way.
Yes, sir.
I know how dangerous the sport is, and I totally accepted that you can die doing this. I understood that. No one didn't want to. But I was thinking the day-to-day stuff.